So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna jump right in it, but feel free to ask questions as we go.
Okay.
But I would still like him twisting much more through the upper chest cavity.
Okay.
Because he's doing, see, this is where they're cognitively fine right now. He's kicking, he wants to play, he's got the eye contact. So if you go to a doctor, most doctors would just think you're nuts. But he still can't even come to sitting or anything like that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
His arm gets, he can roll over sometimes and his arm gets stuck underneath. That's about as much as he can do.
Right. So I'm just going to have you go right underneath the shoulder, just like this on the one side, or just on with your, let's say with your left hand for right now.
Okay.
And then with your right hand, now you're not going to be on the sternum, you're going to just be off to the side.
Okay.
So towards the right, you're going to be on the right side of the sternum. There you go.
Left shoulder, right sternum.
Right. So your direction through the shoulder is going to be towards the right pelvis.
Okay.
So, and you're just going to be offering this really nice little gentle rotation. Here, let me see if I can line up.
My left contact is on the shoulder blade.
Yeah,
Yep.
just right underneath. And then now just lightly as if the tempo, as if he was going to roll over is the tempo of your touch. Okay. So you're not going to pulse it. See how you're pulsing it? Slow that down a bit. Just think of more of the right hand, and your right hand's going to rotate as you bring up through the left shoulder. So it's like this. So you're going to get that counter rotation through the chest cavity. So you're not going to lift the shoulder towards your hand, you're going to lift it as if you're going towards that pelvis. There you go.
So the purpose of this is for the scapula or for the sternum?
No, the purpose of this is the function of the movement of rolling over.
Okay.
That's where this is going to be a little hard on you to get away from the chiropractic, because just because I'm touching an area, that doesn't mean that's the movement I'm working on.
I hear you.
So if you just think of him going to roll over, right? Mm-hmm. Just think of that movement. So when he goes to roll over, he's not going, okay, lift the scapula, move my sternum over. So the point of your touch is to just get that movement of rolling over. This would be sitting up. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want to think of in terms of the touch. See how immediately when you do it right, it just changes him. All of a sudden his brain goes, what? What was that? See? So now you're not squeezing the right hand towards the shoulder. You want that movement to go somewhere. So the right hand is going also towards the pelvis.
Let's do that one again. Also towards the pelvis.
There you go. See how that's a pre-roll for him? See how it looks more natural now in his system?
It did loosen up a bit. Is that what's supposed to happen?
Yeah, it's not only loosen up, but start to coordinate. Once you start to feel that hit, now you can go underneath those neck muscles, just underneath the shoulders. I'll move her around just to show you. So you're just same keep the right hand where it's at, and you're just going to travel along and hit the back of the neck, and then back into the scapula. But again, your attention is for the rolling over, but just so you can organize that whole back area of his neck up all the way to just about mastoid process. But you should start to feel now the muscles start to elongate in that process, or what you might consider more of a loosening up. And remember, the right hand still goes towards the pelvis. Not in. See, because that shortens the muscles. If you go in, it's still a valid movement for some move. You want the right hand to go down towards the pelvis. So you're going to be elongating or almost stretching that neck out.
What are you doing there?
Doing what babies do. It's okay. He's getting stimulated to roll over, so he's rolling over. That's when you know you're working.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So now bring your right hand from behind him. Don't block the movement. There you go. Just go underneath his scapula. And now, same thing. What you're doing here is just right to the the left shoulder. Sorry, a little bit of Skype right left.
Right.
Don't worry about his hand getting stuck right now. There you go. So now let him tilt a little bit to the side to get the hand out. There you go. Notice how his pelvis has to get out of the way for that. And now he can be in this position.
Take his hand out?
If it's down along its side, he's fine with that. And now to do the same movement, you're just going to be right underneath the chest cavity. So the fingers are going to just be spread around the chest cavity here. So you're just right underneath the chest cavity, and then the other hand is going to be right in the mid-back. There you go. And just think of the rotation of the chest cavity in this kind of circular movement. So you're going to be lifting, in a sense, underneath the chest as you're going down into the back. There you go. And you might have to prop the head a little bit with the hand, but you're not holding the head.
Okay, yeah, he's sucking on my fingernail. Okay.
There you go. And again, he's breathing, he's talking well, so he's comfortable in this position because the babbling's coming out.
Okay.
But what you're doing here with the detailed work, do you see right now how he's much more like this? His moves are way too much.
Yeah.
So this is where it's a little bit hard, but just think of just going just along into the profiles on the side. You're going to be on his opposing side because you want to keep him stable. That's okay. I can roll around if they want you. If he rolls around, that's the whole thing with me. You get a butt, you get a butt.
So what are we doing on the sides of the spine?
So the sides of the spine, it's not coming towards you. It's going down into the ground. There you go. There you go. See how it gets him stronger immediately through the hands and stabilizes his hands. Can you see when the touch is done right, how their disposition just totally changes? Like he was just doing this and moving around, and the second you put the hands going down in towards the floor, the touch, all of a sudden he just got very strong and stable with the head. Did you see the difference?
Yeah.
So now with this here, what he's doing, and now that he's exploring, I'm going to have you do just on his tush. Now that he's exploring quite nicely, you're going to take one hand, go underneath the chest cavity. Again, not that he needs the stability, but that that you can feel that movement. And so now with your other hand, same thing you just did off to the spine, you're going to rotate down into the ground. And so he can stabilize more. There we go. And his pelvis. But don't rock him too much on that. Don't rock his head. Just let him play with that. Because again, what he needs to learn now is more the transfer of weight. And the lower that movement comes, this is how you transfer weight. You don't want him top heavy. Because with the top heavy now, when there's too much momentum in the head, right? And that's where you get this kind of movement. What happens is then the child contracts through the pelvis because they believe if they contract here, they can start stabilizing here. What you need to do is take that movement that he's showing in the head and bringing it down to the tush. So if you look at her on this position, the tush should be going back and forth. See, and the head stays stable. You don't want this kind of movement, right? I know I can do that, but a baby has to be so much more stable or ability in other areas of his body, and they're not set up for that yet. So does that make sense? So when you're touching there, try and keep where the head's stable, the vision's stable, and you're working through the pelvis. But what you're doing there, believe it or not, that sacrum rolls, and guess what? That's where the foot's going to start coming up.
Okay. So what am I feeling in the sacrum now?
So your thumb, for the most part, is the part working on the part of the SI, either towards you or away from you. So the thumb would be towards you. And so if you want, you can go around, take the middle finger right around the iliac. And so you're pushing into the sacrum and just start initiating that little bit of rotation, or what you might consider a lift through the pelvis. But again, that'll basically present where he can start going into the crawl, because it's the pelvis that has to rotate out of the way to eventually to bring the foot up. So do you see now, again, that sacrum? And you can go all the way down into the coccyx with that, where you're going to be tuck it, because that's sitting up.
So I'm working on the left sacrum now, and my right thumb is on the lateral side of the SI joint.
Okay? And just slow that down about 50% now. Because again, think of the speed that he's going to use to come around and present that leg up for crawl. So if you're like this, right, he's never going to have that opportunity to bring the leg up. Your movements is teaching his neuro how to work or respond to that movement. When you touch him this way, his body just thinks he's just playing. So you need to keep the touch almost, like I said, his tempo, or the way you want his tempo to be. A very immature way of looking at, just think of someone that's only exposed to jazz, only exposed to, jazz, constant, and then you want them to listen to Beethoven. It's a different beat, it's a different form. It's very hard for that system when they're that regulated or stuck in that position. And that's where you'll see those kind of responses more so as autism develops.
And my contact that's under the sternum, am I feeling for anything, or just for stabilization?
Stabilizations, but eventually should start to feel where the sternum starts to rotate in response to the pelvic. Everything a baby does is in a counter. So from Newton's law, for every action there's an equal opposite reaction, but the fact that they're a higher level of cartilage, or the calcification hasn't happened, there's more bones, the weight transfer is much more significant in a baby than we can go into. That's why babies should never lift something. The babies transfer, they transfer. They don't lift their head. They transfer their weight that brings their head up. So if you can feel more and more underneath that sternum, just that weight transfer. And this is where what you're doing is great. You're not trying to fix his hands. So he's learning, okay, if my hands are like this, not too stable. But if they're out like this, oh, I can do so much more. By you keeping his pelvis stable and play like that, he can play more with what he's doing. So it's a win-win on that.
So I'm not feeling for restriction. I'm just going for movement.
Going for movement. If you feel restriction, let me know, or what I call little glitches, because that's where maybe instead of going this way to where you're bringing the pelvis up for presentations to a pre-crawl, you might want to reverse that out. Just take your middle fingers and go on the opposing SI, just to give that counter, and then come back and concentrate on the thumb. Usually my rule of thumb is if I try to do something 3 to 4 times and I'm not getting that neuro response, like, oh, that's what you want me to do, I'll do the opposing move. In severe cases, if that doesn't work, then I'll bring the thumb right down into the base of the coccyx, almost like an elongation, and I'll rotate the coccyx down into the tailbone to bring that head up.
Can't say that I'm feeling much over here.
That's okay. He's stable. He's doing well. You can't, when you're working with a person that's nonverbal, you have to use your eyes to see how he's responding as well. And you're very technical, and this is a completely different vocabulary than what you're used to, and which is fine.
It's a total different, paradigm shift.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part, that this didn't take off as fast as I'd hoped to, but I still think it will. I mean, I just published this in March, so.
Good for you. It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
My chiropractic philosophy is, and it's only since I got it, getting into neurology now, because I like to go back to the source. So chiropractic isn't always about getting back to the source, but neurology is.
Well, and, even that, like I said, with neurology, you have to look at it as a baby as a new iPad with no apps in it. Everybody thinks that the brain is controlling that baby's movement. I totally don't believe in that. I believe that child's system is now starting to format the brain. And it can only do that by how it can respond to movement.
Right. So what we learned in neurology class, that neurons need, oxygen, glucose, and gravity. So it jives.
So you're just right down, you're going to take either your middle fingers or your index, whichever works for it, and the thumb. So you're in both hip joints. And what the movement is, it's not, again, left, right. Just think of a rotation and a rotation, almost like if he was skiing. But bring one hand still underneath the sternum. There you go. And if he's down on his elbows, that's just as great as if he's on, presents on the hands.
To me over here, I feel on the left, hip joint, it just feels a little stuck.
Okay. So with that, take the thumb.
Okay.
And you're going to just a light lift. So it's just like here, right underneath. And just think that you're shooting the movement up the spine. Just a couple of times, and then going back to that movement and see if that got a little bit better. Hi. How are you?
Is that too much then, you think?
If he wants to go back on his back, that's fine. This is the whole fun part too about working with the babies. Because you always want success. If they start getting tired, or the head starts moving more, or they seem floppy, roll them back over, give them a break. Oh. So with that, we're going to go right underneath the left. So you're going to take your hand, and you're just going right underneath and then scooping. So you're going to have his hip joint like that on the left side, because that's where you're mentioning that you feel. And then you're just going to come into the base of the groin and just feel the rotation. And what I'm after here, even though you've got the femur head into the right hand, what I'm looking for more is that the iliac and the top of the pelvis is going to start butterflying out. So you want to go where the knee eventually, again, would be presenting, oops, sorry, she's silicone, presenting off to the floor. Again, this movement too is what's needed to put the feet in the mouth kind of thing. So you want the knee going back out towards the couch, your couch there, off to his left. And now slow down your tempo to about 50%. So can you feel more how you're into the top of the pelvis and letting that butterfly out? There you go, there you go. See, that's more going again, presenting into sitting up. So see if Madison if she were to go to sit up, right, it's sitting up is not lifting the head. Her pelvis would butterfly out, see, and that's what brings up that into sitting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if that hip remains stiff, that's where that child will never get up through the left side.
But this feels pretty loose right now.
Yeah.
But is he supposed to do it on his own?
Well, if you just watch him now to see where he was at, but again, you know, it all depends on where he is with he's getting a little tired there.
Yeah.
So with that, even though it's loose, bring the hand right underneath to the coccyx.
Okay.
Okay? The other hand is going to be right above the solar plexus or the stomach, because again, I'm looking for the roll of the abdomen, and you're just going to be lightly, almost scooping that coccyx up while you're pushing into towards the face. And that's where he's also not used to that little bum coming up. You know how their bums come up? Mm-hmm. So if he were to naturally grab his feet and the coccyx wants to come up, there should always be a little lift to the coccyx, as well as you should see it to the head, where the head can just go boop, you know, to come up. If that lift is labored either in the sacrum or in the top of the head, that again, that child is going to have extreme difficulties in sitting up, because it's going to be a forced movement. And remember, babies don't do anything that's difficult or that hurts them. And one of the things you should have noticed too, with all the stuff you've been doing, is his, hopefully you're seeing it, is his vision's improving.
Can't say that I've noticed. I don't know.
No. Yeah. So you're still having issues with poor eye contact with you and stuff, or?
Oh no, I haven't had. I think he's okay. He's pretty
Okay.
focused. So what am I supposed to be seeing over here?
You actually should feel in his lower lumbar that almost like a stretch is starting to occur, and where the movement seems a lot longer through the spine as you bring up that bum. There he goes. Now see how he's kind of, if you can just do it even manually, bring his feet to one of his hands. There we go.
No, he's not focused on it. You're saying all.
That's okay, that's okay. You want the eye-hand-foot coordination. Something he's not used to doing, right? He doesn't bring his feet to his mouth. He's not doing...
Right.
There you go. Nice crossing midline. It doesn't matter if it's done manually. When it's this gentle, his brain just thinks, again, it's him doing it.
That's unreal. That's a total, again.
There you go, there you go. So you see now, he just let him explore his hand with the foot.
Yeah, look at you.
He's not even used to seeing his feet. See how when he just saw him, he was like, woo, what are these things? That's it.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, after you change a diaper, after a bath, little quickies like this, you know what I mean? Now look at the chest difference. See him?
You're so wild. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
You like it? You like it? Yeah.
Can you feel the difference now, how much his chest is responding and how much more he's,
Yeah.
quote, rocking and twisting?
Yeah, I do feel a difference. I mean, for me, the difference means that when I say lighter, like less restriction.
Right,
It's sure.
right. Oh, that's the whole thing with body work. We all have our different vernaculars, and I've created a whole different...
Yeah.
But I needed a system that works for parents, you know, even to write the newborn assessment, to write it and not even mention prone and supine, let me tell you, is very difficult. But if you're 18 years old and have just had a baby, you need to be able to help your child, or at least to see this. But I had to write it clear enough that professionals are like yourself say, oh, what's this? You know what I mean, kind of thing.
Right.
There you go. See, now he's reached. That's it. There. See, did you feel him lift?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now see how he's twisting and looking?
Uh-huh.
Bringing the arms up over the shoulders just about. There you go, baby. So what you're going to do here is you're putting your, the left hand, let's say, okay, in your case, the right, you're going to stay to this side of the sternum. You never want to put the fingers on the sternum itself. You'll always want to work on the opposite sides. So you're going to be towards yourself with this. And now the other hand is going to come underneath, scoop underneath the hip joint again, just sort of like what we were doing before. There. And now you're going to just feel that rotation. So in this case, you're almost going to be pressing in towards the sternum. There.
So
and get that counter twist through the chest cavity.
So my right hand contact is over to the opposite side. It's going medially?
Right.
My right hand contact? Okay.
Yeah. If it helps, I'll do it this way just to show you. So you're going in as you're twisting.
So I'm lifting the hip. It's not a fluid movement for him.
No, and that's where something, so you're not lifting, you're rotating. So just think that you're opening a door. Because remember, a baby should never lift their leg. They rotate it up. You and I can lift, a baby cannot lift. If they go to lift something, it cancels out the movement.
So is this a good response?
That's great. There's two responses you're going to see. There's going to be the one response where both legs come up, like he was doing, like to come to his, and the other response is where the leg is going to start, and you can even help it. You go underneath the knee, and the hip is going to come up and around for the rolling over. So the leg goes long.
Up, here we go.
Yeah.
There's the roll.
And then when the roll happens, that's where you want to stop pushing into the sternum because you don't want to cancel out the roll.
Sort of stop right over here.
But right there, as a chiropractor, you should be able to feel where it might be a particular rib or whatever that's preventing that conversation of movement. I know you don't usually make it, that's more of a DO that makes the adjustments through the chest cavity, but that's where you can start increasing your hand sensitivity to find that roll to happen.
So how do I help him now when he's in this position?
Okay, same thing, you're going to come right underneath here.
Okay.
And then you're going to, middle fingers up through the scapula,
Okay.
where the thumb is in the pecs, and you're going to roll through that shoulder. But to come toward where the hand comes towards his ground. Don't cancel it out. So you're going to push. So you want his elbow to want to come down to the floor. So there we go. Think that's it. That's it. There. See how he's bringing his arm down to the floor. So you're coming around. So you're actually pushing down. There we go. But see how he's not responded right now with the head coming up.
Okay.
It will be at a different time in a different position because I don't want to wreck. That's where you want to start, just right here behind the head. So see, he just lifted the head, but I want that head to come into a roll where he comes over.
his arms are stuck at his side. How do I get that arm up?
Well, what's getting stuck is the head. See the head stuck? See how he hit that whole time he didn't lift the head. You manage, right? So you were rotating. Can you see me okay?
Yeah.
Rotating that arm. He came all the way here and see his head still was down.
Right.
So finally he was like this. And that's where the crying starts. What should happen is right here when the shoulder rolls, the head comes up.
Getting tired.
He's tired. He should look more like a teeter-totter. Right off that shoulder, that head should be able to just come up. But again, yeah, he's pooped.
The Newborn Movement Assessment Guide is available at Amazon.com and at the newbornmovementassessment.com website.
By joining this exciting community, you will learn how to help infants from the moment that they enter the world and change the lives of countless children and families. Out of necessity to help a globally delayed child, Michelle Turner, Movement Integration Specialist, created Movement Lesson to benefit children throughout the world.